Hi, I'm Eric Davies of Powerspeak. Once you've developed your confidence as a public speaker, your biggest challenge then is to get people to listen closely as you speak and to remember your message. We'll give you a number of tools to do this, but one of the most powerful tools you'll learn is the use of humour. If you can get people laughing here and there as you go, they'll listen much more closely and they're much more likely to remember what you say. We all like to be entertained, and humour will focus audience attention like nothing else. And you don't have to be a funny person to use humour successfully. There are a number of humour techniques that work very well with absolutely no comic skills whatsoever. But we will teach you some comic skills because some comic skills can be learned. It's just a matter of following the rules. We might not turn you into a stand-up comedian, but we will give you the tools you need to successfully put humour into a speech. One of the techniques we teach is the use of beats. A beat is a pause at a critical moment when you're relating something funny. Beats can have a number of different functions. One function is to raise the expectation in the audience. There are times when you need to give your audience a moment to think, what's he going to say next, before you move on. Another function of a beat is to make sure your audience is fully up with the story at a critical point. You see, the human brain takes a moment or two to process incoming speech, and there are times when you need to pause to make sure everyone in the audience is fully processed, fully up with the story before you move on, and a beat will do that. I recently wrote a speech for a client, a best man speech, and one of the anecdotes demonstrates beats fairly well, so I'm going to give you a short excerpt from that speech in a moment. But before I do that, I need to explain to you that earlier on in the speech, the best man had said how he had not met the bride for 2 years after the couple had met, even though he was the groom's best friend. But the groom had shown him some revealing photos of the bride early on in the relationship. Everyone at the reception knew about this, apparently, and even the bride herself was quite comfortable with this, I was assured. Times have changed. When I was a young man, there's no way a bride would be happy with that being discussed at her wedding. But anyway, here goes. To celebrate their reunion, they took a holiday to Europe along with some friends, and that's where I first met Sally, in London. I got a very strange feeling when I first met Sally, because I was sure I'd met her somewhere before, and I was trying to think where before she recognised me. And then it came to me. It was those bloody photos. I hope you've deleted them, buddy. Right, I'm back. Now, that might have lost some of its humour because it was a short excerpt taken out of context. And also, I had given you a hint about the punchline. That's why I made the beat ahead of the punchline. It was those bloody photos. I made that beat as short as possible to try and reduce the risk of you jumping ahead of me into the punchline, which is not a good thing to happen when you're using humour. The beat ahead of, I got a very strange feeling when I first met Sally. That beat was to let the audience catch up with the story. And the beat ahead of, and then it came to me, that beat was to try and build an expectation in the audience. The last line, I hope you've deleted them, buddy, that was a different humour technique altogether. That was a callback. But the effect was totally lost here because you didn't hear the earlier part of the speech that it referred to. Of course, I wouldn't have given that last line, I hope you've deleted them, buddy, I wouldn't have given that over the top of laughter. I would have waited for the laughter to pretty well die away before I gave that line. If you'd like to see a full text of that speech, by the way, just follow the speech writing link at the top of the page. Well, I hope that's given you some idea on how we would train you in the use of humour at Powerspeak. Obviously, that's much more in that segment than what I've mentioned here. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful. I look forward to meeting you.